Congressman, welcome back.
Thank you.
This spending bill only funds the government until November the 21st.
That's right.
People seeing all the politics around it likely wonder, why in the world doesn't this go longer for as much as you guys go through?
Well, I advocated for a year-long CR, but that was not the leadership's decision. And frankly, November the 21st, in my mind, is the worst date.
Why so?
Because open enrollment for Obamacare opens on 1 November. People will have gotten their premium increases in October. So on November the 21st, they're going to be looking at, do we extend the COVID era temporary subsidies for Obamacare, or do we not? That's $40 billion a year in cost to the government. We need, and no Republican has ever voted for an Obamacare subsidy. No Republican should start now. These need to go away. They need to expire. Because we now know that in these subsidies, we have the federal government paying insurance companies for no claims. There are people that don't even know they're on this account.
Yeah, for people who don't understand that, the idea was, let's give insurance companies a chunk of change to lower the premiums.
Correct.
And Democrats, supported that for Obamacare. Republicans say, we need to stop cutting these checks, right?
Absolutely, and we need to, because COVID is long gone. COVID is over, in case people are wondering about it. The emergency is, why would any Republican ever vote for these subsidies?
So the House passed this clean bill, which means there's nothing else inside of it except spending only. The Senate Democrats, which Republicans need several Senate Democrats to vote for this in order to get this passed, they say, listen, we want to make sure that people continue to have lower premiums. Do you see any scenario at all in which you could support extending the Obamacare?
None whatsoever.
None at all.
We now know that I will use a strong word here, we now know that there's a lot of fraud in these COVID era subsidies. No claims, people don't even know they're on the account, yet the federal government is still paying the insurance companies.
But this predates that, doesn't it? Doesn't the Obamacare subsidies, they predates what happened in COVID?
Well, these are additional COVID era subsidies, temporary, meant to be temporary. That's why they're expiring at the end of the year. So this is not Obamacare generally. These are very specifically the COVID era temporary subsidies we're talking about.
Republicans control both chambers and the White House. With the midterms coming up here next year, there's always the big question of, well, who will get the blame for this? How do you tell voters that, listen, this is not our fault, we're in charge of everything, but it's not our fault?
Well, it's not the only issue that we're having to address in this last week of the fiscal year here. The Democrats basically want to reinstate the One Big Beautiful Bill savings, $1.5 trillion they want in this. The rescissions package at $9 billion, they want to put it back in. So the Democrats think they have an opportunity, which they don't, to basically undo the Working Families Tax Act, tax cuts, and the rescissions package. So it's not just the subsidies. The Democrats have put a $1.5 trillion, almost a $2 trillion package out here.
Congress always seems to work down to the wire. Do you expect this to go down to Tuesday, September the 30th?
It all depends on Chuck Schumer. He holds 100% of the decision on this. The president has been very clear that he's not going to negotiate. So Chuck Schumer holds the 100% of the decision here. Whatever he decides, I have no idea what he will decide.
Do you expect to go back to D.C. before?
Well, we are scheduled to go back on Monday, and I don't think we'll go back early. I'm not sure when the Senate's going to vote.
Yeah, because nothing's scheduled right now while these negotiations are ongoing, right, with the Senate?
No, as far as I know, they have no vote scheduled.
Okay.
They're still working through it.
Let me shift gears and ask about something kind of on the side of this. We all know what happened with Charlie Kirk. We know what happened with the lawmakers in Minnesota. There are some spouses we've been reading of lawmakers in D.C. who say, listen, the security isn't enough for members of Congress.
Right.
What do you think about that, and who should pay for that?
Well, that's one of the anomalies that's in the continuing resolution. There's $88 million there, 30 for Congress, 28 and 30 for the for the executive branch and the Supreme Court. So 88 million total. And there are people in the House that are pushing for far more than that. I believe that we need to take prudent measures, but I'm not for spending millions and millions of dollars to try to protect each one of us like the president is protected. It simply is cost prohibitive. So that discussion is continuing, and it will continue. But right now we have $88 million for every branch of government added security.
But do you think that lawmakers need added security after what we saw with Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, his home firebombed, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, what happened with the assassinations of the lawmakers in Minnesota? You guys are in the line of fire.
Well, we have a program, a trial program that they're going to extend that does give us more security.
Yeah.
And we have some discretion over how we spend it. So yes, they are beefing up security for House members.
And then you have to make sure that you also don't take away from interaction with the public, with your constituents too. How do you balance that? The need to stay safe with the need to interact with your constituents?
Well, the leadership in the House has decided for this to extend this trial program so that we have some discretion over how to spend the money that they give us for the additional money they give us for security. So that's up to every member how they will do that. But it's basically you need to have some minimal level of security and then be aware of your surroundings. It's what we preach in security areas.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. Be aware of your surroundings, have a level of security that makes you feel comfortable, whether you want to spend it on personal security, whether you want to spend it on additional security for your home. That's up to you. We have that discretion.
Does the heated rhetoric from Congress and from politics and this spin cycle, does that contribute to the threats? And if so, do you think Congress bears some responsibility for this?
Well, the gulf between the right and the left today is great. And I think that when you look at the rhetoric on the left, it is very harsh. And I think they're engendering some of this that's happening.
How about the right, though?
I would love to see it all come down so we can have a reasonable discussion. That's what Charlie Kirk did. That's what he was good at. That's why the young people responded so well to Charlie Kirk. He would debate anyone in a reasonable, calm manner. Disagreements? Absolutely. But the debate was what he liked to have to convince someone rather than just screaming at each other. I would love to see Congress move back to that rather than, I don't even need to listen to the debate on the House floor anymore because I know what I'm going to be called.
Do you really?
I do.
Does it get that?
Routine is the word you're looking for.
Really? I was going to say less civil, but does it get that routine in
It
there?
gets that routine, yeah. No matter what we're discussing.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Let me ask you this. Two last questions here for you, too. Congress voted to give up its constitutional authority on tariffs to President Trump, further expanding the executive branch. Do you think Republicans are going to regret that?
Look, Congress has abdicated its responsibility in a lot of areas for a lot of years, and we've seen the results of that from the left. The left uses that power very strongly. The right never does. President Trump is trying to bring that back to the middle, and yes, we have. Whether we will regret it or not, I don't know, because if the tariffs work, and that is one of the unknowns, the one big beautiful bill, will the economy start humming again? Will the tariffs work? They have said that if the Supreme Court says that Trump has overstepped his emergency powers authority, then we're going to have to pay back like $1 trillion already. So that tells you the tariffs are working. I don't know what the Supreme Court is going to decide in this matter, but the tariffs are working in terms of bringing money back. Now, long-term tariffs are meant to bring manufacturing back, and that is the plan long-term.
But as far as whether it's a good idea for the three separate powers to give away some of their authority, do you think that's a good idea or bad idea?
Look, each of the branches of government steps on the other two branches of government. Every single branch of government interferes with the others. If we could get back to the constitutional role of each branch of government, it would be beautiful.
The UK, Canada, Australia, Portugal, most of the European Union, as you have seen, now back Palestinian statehood. The U.S. obviously is the forever holdout on that. What do you think it would take to get the U.S. to consider that rather than the two-state solution
have
that has always been discussed between Republicans and Democrats?
I have no idea what you would even discuss. There is no two-state solution. You go to Israel, you go to the Middle East, they understand the two-state solution is dead. There will be no two states. There is nothing that can accomplish that. Israel now is in response to these European nations that are virtue signaling by saying they're going to recognize some unknown state. Look, Palestinians, we've equated it to Gaza. There are Palestinian camps in every one of the countries that surrounds Israel. Do you think that those countries, like the European nations recognizing some ethereal Palestinian state? No, absolutely not. Because they've got, in Jordan, for instance, they've got the fourth generation of children, Palestinian children, in their camps in a Muslim nation.
If the hostages were returned to Israel, do you think the U.S. should consider Palestinian statehood?
No, there's no state to recognize. That is an idea that has no content.
But there's Gaza and there's the West Bank. The idea is whether they can form a legitimate government.
Your very question, look, no, Americans do not understand how important Judea and Samaria are to Israel, otherwise known as the West Bank.
Sure.
They're absolutely crucial to the identity of Israel.
So should Israel expand over there and create new settlements over there and
No, I
take
think
it
they're
over?
working on a plan that will, look, I will tell you, I understand that the imams on the West Bank are tired of the Palestinian Authority.
Yeah.
They're tired of it. I think they're going to work out an agreement with Israel at some point to be secured by Israel, governed under some agreement that they're going to come to. They're tired of the Palestinian Authority and certainly the people in Gaza. You've seen some pushback against Hamas. Frankly, why was Gaza not considered the Palestinian state before? Understanding there are Palestinians every nation, but the Hamas won an election. They were elected, and then they destroyed their country.
What else can you think of you'd like to add? Anything else happening that you'd like to add or point out since we have 5 days before this?
Well, I will point out on the continuing resolution,
Sure.
we are still $37 trillion in debt. So that's what this CR attempts to do. It attempts to keep spending flat back to FY24. If we can do that, people would, it would be amazing if we could do that. We would keep spending flat for 2 years. That would start, that would break the omnibus model that we've had for so many years. That would keep spending flat and would be a huge accomplishment for this Congress.
But that only goes to the 21st of November.
So far. But if we can do it for the full year, which I've advocated for, that would be a major step forward to get us back to fiscal sanity.
And why can't Congress write a longer check than just 2 months?
That is a great question. I don't know why we can't, because if we did this for the whole year, it would level the playing field back to FY24. It would cut spending as we want to. It would take the baseline, actually better than the baseline that was set in the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut Bill, and it would be a major accomplishment by Congress. I would love to see that happen.
Congressman, good to see you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Jason.